Well, hello, folks. Top Gun here with you, and I got a good one for you. Father's Day, Bitcoin. I'm trying to hit the trending things, and I am talking Bitcoin today. Does Father's Day really have an effect on the sentiment of Bitcoin? No, I don't think so. And is Bitcoin even quite low enough yet that I would buy my father some Bitcoin for Father's Day? Yeah, I don't know. I personally believe there's more pain to come for Bitcoin. So maybe opening a short position against Bitcoin for your father for Father's Day. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do have a good one for you. So let's go have a look through it, shall we, folks? Shall we? All right. So we'll crack right in right away. Actually, let's do a detour before we go to Bitcoin. We're going to talk about the stablecoins for a moment. Let's have a look at Neutrino, if I can spell it right. Neutrino, there we go. All right, so Neutrino, interestingly, okay, we're at 98.3. Okay, so Neutrino, some of the stable coins, as the market has been in massive amounts of pain, as you can see, Neutrino has had some serious dips in the last couple of months. It has taken some moments of pain, shall we say, where normally it holds a pretty good peg, but it has had some slips, including recently within the last week, that have dropped its peg down past the 80% point. That is not very reassuring because these aren't instantaneously. I'm looking at the day charts. So, in any of this, we're looking at week-long corrections from these dips. Not very encouraging, right? I know. USDD. Ooh, USDD is still losing peg. It has not been able to come back and find its support. Normally holding its peg at a 99.9% rate, a little above even. She is hurting. This is what happens when you have fractionally reserved backed coins. Like, oh, we got 50, like there's 100 coins out there. Well, we got 50 of them backed fully, or all 100 backed 50%. We've got half the assets we need to cover, but no one will ever come for a bank run. Oh, is that what this is? A bit of a bank run ever since Luna collapsed? One attack and the man behind the curtain was revealed at the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, they say, and everyone comes withdrawing their money, paying attention anyway. So, yeah, this is the pain. Even Tether. Even Tether. If I wanted to see. Because all these, when I'm looking at these, are on the. I just want to see the US dollar to Tether. Bitcoin, Ethereum. I haven't ever actually looked up Tether personally before, but now it's been pointed out. Let's have a look on. Aha. No. No, that's trading with that. Tether. These are Bitcoin to Tether. It's going to be. There's Gala. Oh. You know what? I'll have to Google this. Okay. Canadian, that's cute. Let me see some of the fluctuation here on Google. 5-day. This was what was alarming. This dip in Tether. It looks like Tether has recovered, but even Tether took a dip of like 5% in the last week. There it is. There we go. 5-day. Here's the dip, which I mean, considering 99.8 8 to 99.80, not as much of a slip as other things, but we can see on the month. Let's have a look at the 6-month. Here's where Tether normally held, and then since May, now Tether doesn't look as great. We see that the issue's been, yes, Tether is suffering. All the stable coins are suffering. So crypto looks a little bit scary right now. Why would anyone want to go near or buy crypto? Well, some of it's maybe hitting bottoms and dead cat bounces times to buy, and other of it may have shorting opportunities. So cracking right off with the Kraken, the beast, the one that's been around since the dawn of time, the dinosaur, the Betamax VCR, the 8-track, thou who is Bitcoin. Hello, Bitcoin. Let's have a look at the long term. All right. So what I had pointed out here was from the previous top to the new top created a trend, which Bitcoin was traveling within. Up, be down, up, be down, up, be down, up, failed. Failed to come back and retest. The trend is your friend until the end. So basically, we can zoom out the long strand as now we are forming new trends. So we only care about this range. So this line is hopefully kind of in the background. Maybe I can make it disappear a little better. There we go. Oh, she's like invisible now. I'll lose her. Can't have her that dark. There. Almost inconsequential on the screen. Okay, so we're forming new trends, which means also that long-standing bottom trend I was talking about. We'll zoom in a little more here. And I was talking about it in my earlier video that once we broke under it, we had this support line where we could treat this as resistance instead of support now, and we might choose this consolidating sideways right underneath it, bull flag, which would have meant there was a chance to recover the trend. And, that's why I hadn't totally graded out. But as you can see, she chose down past the firm support here at around 2000, 1909. Like, she just zoom in a little more. So yeah, instead of going sideways here, she chose down, and I said Bitcoin would have this weekend to make a choice in the market. So Bitcoin's still saying more pain to come. So our trend even here, still kind of important, but not for now. For now, she goes dark like the other one. We forget about this trend. So we'll zoom out a little bit again and see. So this is our current standing down trend for the last several months. Widening up a little bit because of this push, but we're starting, like, this line I've been trying to crack for support isn't really relevant. I haven't really pinned that down right yet. So in this, we usually want to see a few data points. So even if I forget about the wick to try and match bottoms, she doesn't come across the bottom. So for now, we're well above this support line, this long trend slope. And I've been trying to find the right data point to track this. But it really matters. Until we find a bottom, I'm not going to have something to really come off of. So all I've got is the top data, the resistance. Okay, so zooming back in, on these data points, we're definitely inside of this trend, and we're forming even a relatively new trend within this month, within the last couple of weeks, heading down this way. So what has to happen? This line here has to get broken, and Bitcoin has to do some sideways action to recover and start setting a trend this way, that maybe we're not in such extreme pain territory, that there's some hope. But it's asking any buyers, and slipping along this line. So again, we still have a choice of sideways or, not going this way, but dropping that way, going down, folks. And this becomes a continued line of resistance, forcing us down and down to test these supports until we find a hard support that actually indicates we're going to start trading at least sideways again. A lot of word soup for basically we've got a speculative commodity, we got a lot of pain in the market. And where do I think as the week starts and we've got Biden who's going to try and do economic plans that won't really land. We've got US oil. We'll have to keep an eye on inflation and see how that's trading. But Bitcoin has not been a risk on asset. I mean, there's been a little bit of trade back where it seems like we're starting to try and say no further down here at the 1900 level, but sideways action is about the best I'm hoping for in Bitcoin. Still a good chance of dropping down. It overall is weakening at every resistance line. I haven't seen any strength come back in Bitcoin. So we'll have to wait and see what it does over this week, whether it's a good shorting opportunity now or whether it's just some sideways action that won't, like up here where it traded along 30 grand. Like there's nothing to really trade in on this, and then it just dies. Like shorting would have been good for Bitcoin, and as I think it's still going to 11K at least on the long term, maybe even lower. What did I mark this at? 3K down here if we break under 10K. Yeah, I see still a lot of pain in Bitcoin. Do I have the money to get in and do any shorts? No, but I figure I'll talk about what I see. So, and this is what I see as more pain in Bitcoin, as we are extremely oversold. It's begging for a rally, though. All right, that is one argument for the bulls. And the MACD is slowing down in its pain, but this is not an argument, a tradable rebound. Volume has been slowing down through the week a little bit. The price has been dropping. The RSI is so oversold, but the MACD hasn't released the pain yet. Could there be a chance of at least some sideways action as the MACD corrects and the RSI corrects throughout this week? I think so. I think Bitcoin finally actually choose sideways for a bit and then ride this line down as support as opposed to resistance. So still, I just see a slower downhill path than a quicker downhill path at the current moment with Bitcoin. Not seeing the technical indicators or the steam that it will try to regain any of these old support lines. So why is this important to us Hexicans? Let's keep beating around the bush, shall we? So we've got Ethereum, and we look at Ethereum, the big king altcoin. Let's zoom out into that macro look at the charts over the long-standing trends. When the market's unpredictable, you can't use them as much anymore. But I did the same thing I did with Bitcoin. So charted out the long-standing trend. Charted out some of the major resistance points that were relevant since we had the plateau effect. I decided to fill it in, so I haven't done anything above. It doesn't really matter because I don't think we're going back there anytime soon. So as we zoom in and we see those lines in orange, we've tested below them, wicked below them. But what is that, folks? We have stayed just barely within the trend. That's, of course, assuming the trend goes to here. Like, if I had actually, let's see, orange Yeah, there was an earlier wick down, which is why this wick never even made it to our trend, the way it had been inflated. All right. So, interestingly enough, as things trend, the long stand trend, Ethereum's on the bottom of it, but it's still within the long standing trend, those orange lines that I've got. But the yellow ones are more relevant as the trend does seem to be heading in a more downwards direction. Why I even have a green one now forming as basically new lines of resistance that we'll have to crack through before there's ever a recovery are being made apparent. But Ethereum's pain is kind of interesting where we're bottoming out. That's why I feel like there's going to be a bit of sideways action. There may be room. We'll see. If Bitcoin, all this stuff, I want to say, like the technical indicators are starting to scream, rally, rally us, please rally us. But the Fed, Biden, all that stuff, I mean, anything can happen. And the markets are so afraid and nervous right now that any more fear and terror, and people are still going to be going nuts selling. Now, normally, I'm like, yeah, bear market, buy the fear, sell the greed. But there's this thing called catching a falling knife. The fear starts and it's fallen 10%. Buy the dip, buy the dip. Well, it's gonna fall 90%. So you bought it at a 10% discount and it's going to a 90% discount. That means, oh shit, 8/9 of my wealth just disappeared because I bought the dip early. I mean, time in the market is better than time in the market. So DCA, like, oh, dinner and a movie, set that aside and buy an asset I like because it's on discount. Yes. But moments of, oh, well, I have a whole bunch of money and it's just sitting in a savings account where against inflation it's losing money and I want to make it work for me. And I'm crazy enough to play the market because I don't care if I lose it because, 2/3 of swing traders get wrecked. Well, all right. Yeah, bear markets are where the money is made, and on the micro, not so much the macro trends. Like, I buy my assets to invest, but on the day-to-day stuff, I'm still curious what's going on. So I've talked about Bitcoin choosing down, which Ethereum chose down, but not as hard. It was correcting more than Bitcoin, but I think that Ethereum is in a more stable trend and may actually help encourage Bitcoin to stop crashing as Ethereum's gone, hey, it's okay. It's okay. We're at the bottom. We're at the bottom. You can stop screaming, at least for now. Um, but my real big indicator for this that I love is we love me some Hex on this channel. And so what do we see here? This solid line of 2.9 cents. And oh, wickety, 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 wow, it has bounced off it and held over 3 cents day after day after day after day after day for a week while Bitcoin was falling and Ethereum, its home network, what it's priced in some amount, kept falling. Which means the price of Hex should have kept falling because what we'll zoom out in, what makes me bullish on this little long-standing trends, is we hit a bear market before everyone else. We really, really did, folks. We cracked into the bear market early. Like, this is painful if you're not looking at it in logarithmic. I'll take that back off. This is a painful chart. Looks like, oh my god, it's just dead. It's dying. Like, such a horrible thing. But you look on a log, oh, it's still just fine. But what do we have here? The long-standing trend of resistance that needs to cross, the two prior data points. Well, that line would come to here, came down here through this. So we had begun to break our bear market cycle when all hell broke loose from inflation and the market finally catching up to things. So we set a brand new long-standing term of resistance. But when you look at that term, this is where this hits 0 cents in October. Well, Hex is not going to zero, folks, which means sometime before October, we're going to punch this line in the nose and we will go back to test 30 cents. Or, sorry, go back to test the 20 here for sure. And this will probably create our bear market trend for the next year in this range until we start going up. If, like, it depends. Pulse chain launches, we're going to see some more interesting action with Hex as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of trading. Hex is not dead. It hit its bear market early and then got dragged down through some super pain. And you can see my chart starts to get really interesting and detailed as we get into modern time. So, what I've been looking for and what I talked about in my earlier video on Friday was looking for some buy signals in Hex, because when I start to zoom in and we start to see, well, this has been a curving line. It's Ewing. Like, Hex, the whole time the market's been crashing, has been going, yeah, the bleeding stopped. The bleeding is stopping. And then it's found a tradable bottom. So I talked about buy signals. If Hex, or like if Bitcoin shows down and Hex stayed stable, that's like a massive indicator that we found a bottom. And, oh yeah, sorry, zooming out again, we see all this volume at the bottom, volume dropped off for months. The price was dragged around and we still, with low volume, we're doing all right, but it's not generally a bullish indicator. Volume has picked up since we crashed below 10 cents. People know Hex is a deal again, and they're buying even with the market crying. This is why we've seen this bottoming effect. The volume has just respiked. We're getting green impressions on the Instagram, on the MACD. So we're starting to cross over to trade upwards. The RSI right now, we've had, the RSI, I mean, there's still room. Like, we bottomed out on the RSI and we have found a complete bottom as we start trading up. There's still room for us to basically come down this yellow line. Like, in a rally condition, what I'd want to see is the MACD flashing green. I'd want to see the RSI coming from either from the oversold conditions starting its uptrend, or already in its oversold conditions pushing a little higher, usually. But yeah, we're starting to see the green impressions on the MACD, and we're seeing high volume trading. We're seeing a flattening while the rest of the market is crushing. This is starting to indicate a bottom to me. And now I wanted to break, as we zoom in here, we keep setting a line of resistance, a downtrend, a line of resistance with a downtrend, breaking it, and then going down, and we didn't keep going down. We started going sideways. So now this one that we had set here, we just broke. We didn't do it with a heavy buy. It's Sunday, but whatever, we just broke that. Well, so basically what I'm doing, like these lines, I'll leave them here so they make sense. But let's drawing with Top Gun. All right. So basically, I try to figure out where's the next peak gonna be after it breaks this line. Is it another small segment? Is it just gonna come up to here, peak, and then come back down? Well, at this point, Hex has found a firm bottom. It's looking like to me. I mean, we're still seeing some downtrend of resistance, so I think it's possible we could step down the next leg, but this is starting to really flash to me. It's not all here. I was hoping for a few different indicators. Like, it held its own while Bitcoin crashed. The volume trading is up. The MACD is flashing green. The RSI is not exactly the conditions I want, but these are trailing indicators, not lead indicators. So I'm not expecting a huge rally out of this. But at this point, I'm starting to feel like usually after this kind of staggering, there's more of a break. Like, we could maybe get up to 4 cents kind of rally, a 33% jump before we come down and retest this, or think about another leg down to retest that leg. But the massive pain and hemorrhaging has stopped. So there's always room for loss, but when it's going up, and everyone wants to buy, like you had no problem buying Bitcoin at 40 cents while it was on its way up to 50. But now that's on for 3 cents, and one day it will be $1. Bitcoin or Hex is not dead. One day Hex will be $1. And you're bickering about buying it at 3 cents? Now, like, being early sucks. But my point with Hex is there's not a lot of pain left to go. Like, this would be insane if we got here 1.4 cents. But even if we got there, we're looking at this point at a 50% dip from this line to get down to this one. That means about a 25% dip to get to this one. And this is what I've kind of always called my maximum pain range when I said on here, yeah, outrageously, I have 0.2 of a cent in case all hell breaks loose and someone drops a nuke on someone for April Fool's Day. Thank God we're past April. But you know what I mean. Like, the craziness that's been happening in the world will affect crypto as well. It's not completely insulated from the things that happen in the world around it. It is part of the world as well. Even if it's decentralized and a better version of things in the world, it's still part of it. So we have to deal with the things that happen in the world. And if everyone starts starving because there's absolutely no wheat, we're all eating crickets, and nobody's got any money for rent or gasoline, they're not going to be buying crypto. That's the scary truth of things. But not everyone in this time goes broke. There are lots of people with money, people that made their money in crypto already, people that have recession-resistant jobs that are actually paying better as the markets crash. There are, still lots of people. And if Ethereum is going down and Hex is priced in Ethereum, even in a little bit, Hex should be brought down. As we saw in the low volume trading, Hex got dragged around with Ethereum. I did correlation videos on it at that point. The volume has picked up in Hex, which means it has gone independent. People are excited and in there again. Yes, there's still selling happening, but there's buying happening. People are starting to agree that this may be maximum pain. We may not see cheaper Hex. Might be a good idea to buy. I almost didn't want to do this video because I don't have any powder in the keg to buy any Hex today. I'm upset about this. Genuinely upset because it's screaming a great deal at me today. So for you folks, I tell you my pain that I cannot buy any Hex today. I cannot take advantage of this discount. While it's trading a red candle, people are selling on the RSIs in this condition. Oh, it's a great time to scoop up. The spread is kind. It is nice time to buy as opposed to when it's already going up. The slippage gets worse. It's just nasty. This is a good time to buy if you're near the bottom, if you're catching. So like I said, 10% discount. It's going down 90. You don't want to do that. But an 80% discount when it's going to 90, is that so bad? If it's going back up to 200 or 300% of the all-time high or more, if we're going to $1.50 and you're bickering, oh, I don't know if 3 cents is cheap enough for me. It might get to 1.5 cents. Yes, that's a double that you're missing out on, you greedy bastard. But if it doesn't go to 1.5 cents and then it goes up to 10 and you didn't buy the 3, well, then it's 1/3 of what you could have got buying today that you missed out on because you waited too long, as opposed to buying a little too early. It's a question of time in the market. If you've been waiting on a whole bunch, waiting for a discount, this is a good time. As for me, I have pointed out repeatedly when I'm like in the market going, I bought this dip, and I bought this dip, and I bought this dip, and I bought this dip. And I'm calling out wishing I could buy this right now. What has Hex done every time that I've bought this stabilizing dip? Oh, Well, when I bought it here at 10 cents, she went up to 16. That was a 15% or a 60% gain. When I bought down in this dip at 11.5 cents, we then went up and went all the way up to 20. Oh, was that an 80% gain from when I bought the dip? Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. Oh, I bought this dip here. If we go back earlier too, like I love buying me my dips. So when I bought this dip, oh, at 13 cents, and then I got that 2.7x as it went up to 34. Yep, I just wasn't smart enough to be taking profits. So this is where I would be buying if I have cash. That's all I'm saying, folks. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video and a little bit of hopium on the market as I've taken a look at Bitcoin and Hex, which is better Bitcoin. That's all it is. No paying the miners to destroy the environment, just paying people who sign a promise not to sell, like a retirement savings plan. And you get yield in the form of the inflation that is in the contract. It's not magic. Hex just produces 3% more every year, kind of keeping with the inflation formula that was supposed to be held of 2% inflation, stayed just a little ahead of it. A nice, healthy inflation rate. And yeah, that goes to the people who promise not to sell. It's that simple. Instead of putting the extra new coins in the system to people who mine for the network and destroy the environment. Yeah, flawless runtime. It's better Bitcoin. If you like Bitcoin, you should like Hex. You should. Really, really should. And there's more room to make money in Hex than there is in Betamax. I mean Bitcoin. So, yeah, that's my thoughts for the day. That is my thoughts for the day. We will have to see how this week goes. I'll try and see if I can make some more videos. I have been working hard trying to get that powder in the keg so that I can take advantage of these opportunities. Because, the opportunities are coming through the fall and the winter. I'm excited. The bear market, great place to make money. I mean, I made money in the corpse of Luna. It's a really sad incident. Markets are crashing. People have been affected really, really poorly by this. But I can't give up on trying to make money or make my life better because bad things have happened in the past. I mean, if that was the case, we'd all have to shut down and give up on life because of the history books. It's perseverance. And, I've had family affected by the Luna crash while I made money in it. So my heart goes out to anyone that is ever affected negatively in the markets. And if you listened to me before in the past about buying and then I never give you any kind of sell indicator, and you're upset about that, well, I wasn't selling myself, which is why I wasn't giving any sell indicators. And I am also out money on Hex. I have lost in Hex and I'm still buying more. Okay. I've done this thing called math. So I'm buying more Hex. I am very excited for Pulse Chain and everything that Richard Heart has to offer and some of the other projects coming on it. I've done plenty of videos. In the meantime, though, in this bear market, it is best to be cautious and buy the good deals when they come. And the way I look at Bitcoin, the long-standing trends, no matter where you looked, all of them have just gone more recent. It's getting faster that it is heading down to that 11K. Originally, I had 11K marked out for December. Then she changed directions and 11K was marked out for August. Right now, 11K is marked out for basically this week. So that's the difference that Bitcoin has been choosing. It's been accelerating how quickly it wants to head to 11K. An 85% correction, and it could see an over 90% correction. Hex has had its 95% correction, basically. its 85% correction was up here and then shows more pain because of the markets. It has done its shaking. So it is decelerating for how it's crashing. You can see fast, 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 slow, 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 nice rounding effect. And then poof, bottom. Now, from this pain, like how fast does a rounding happen? And then you've seen these U's happen very quickly. So the bottom of the U could easily, bottom of the U could easily take very little time, even if we do a little hump. Like, let's draw a possible future. X trades a little bit sideways, goes up through this week. It's this point, goes up. Then we suddenly seem to find another invisible point of resistance and come crashing down to test this bottom one more time. Then we have an argument at this line. It's kind of a 50-50 draw, but could we go up and then retest and see something up and around this range? That's kind of somehow how I'm hoping, but I can't see the future. Can't see the future. I cannot. X could take a very different path. But even if it hits that next line of resistance, she could come back down. I'm expecting a lot of sideways action in Hex at this point. And not sideways in the way that Bitcoin went sideways, folks. Like, when I say sideways, I don't mean flat and sideways and then 90 degrees towards the ground and flat and sideways building a bloody staircase. No. Okay? When I just say flat and sideways, I mean, like, if we go back in Ethereum's history, we gotta go way back, though, folks. Way back. How far back can we go? Alright. That's where we want to go. So when I say sideways action, like Ethereum here between 100 to 500, see, Hex did a huge crash. And that looks familiar, doesn't it? And it just looks a little bit familiar, like a Hexagon crash. When it found the bottom, that's sideways action. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down, but it formed a very long-standing channel. So once we got in here in August of 18, didn't get back above it till November of 2020. But in here was a healthy chart, a chart that could be traded, a chart that held value, a chart of at least some interest and stability, and then the next bull run happened. So basically, the maximum pain phase in Hex, we started early. I think we got it out of our systems early. Ethereum and Bitcoin have more to come. Hex, I'm thinking relatively we've gotten into this channel, and we're at least at the top of this sideways channel, if not already in the middle or bottom of it. So that's my call, basically, with the maximum pain range that I have on Hex down here. That this is as bad as the channel will be. We've cracked this channel. I actually am hoping between the green and the red. If you zoom in, right in there. That would be my happy little trade channel. But maximum, like, that is pretty wide. We go green bar to red bar, maximum. That could be our bear market channel sideways. It could be. It could be a greater range. Like, I'm not sure what the bear market will say when it comes to sideways action. I mean, it could actually be red to green, almost the blue after those kind of drops. So, yeah, this is the way I see it, is we've gotten our major dropout and we're into healthy DCA time for the next, like, there's no need to be aping in other than, oh wait, Ethereum, when I showed that chart for a year and a half, it didn't have another network coming to launch and save it and make it even cheaper and easier to use. So Hex has an interesting future where that bear market could be upended early with the launch of Pulse Chain. And when is Pulse Chain launching? We don't know. We don't know, folks. We don't know. We know that they're rewriting some of the code from Solidity into the Go language, native language, for servers. So, Solidity, how do I describe this? There are programming languages for a front end, like HTML. I program HTML, and it makes a page look pretty. Lots of clicking options. Oh, I can click here. Oh, I can click here. Look at how this is drawn out. That's user interface. Java, a little bit executional, but user interface. Solidity, kind of that way, but it has to interface with machines. So it's doing the operations in reverse. But your operating system, Windows or Mac, that runs with all the drivers, all the integrated stuff, and the clickable that you click is written in Visual Basic. And Visual Basic is a whole different language than the driver sets and the core files. So Go is more machine language. It's more efficient from how you want a validator, your server, to run than a front end language where there was bugs and errors. It's a good move to go to the Go language. This will take some time because I don't even want to say two more bleep. So it takes as long as it takes, no expectation of the work of others. I have had my own hopes kind of crushed on this, but it is coming. It is coming, and when it does, it'll be great. And will it take August 18 to November? Like, that's over a year of that sideways bear action. Do I think it's going to take a year and a half for Pulse Chain to come? No, that I can safely say. I do believe in Pulse Chain 2020. Or, sorry, 2022. I wish 2020. Pulse Chain 22. This year, sometime. I'll call that. I will call that. And we will see some different action on Hex when it does come. So these are the markets, the way I see things coming. And yeah, we got to keep an eye on the Fed, keep an eye on oil prices, on inflation, and on that pesky business over in the place that I do not like to name because of the algorithms on the YouTube. Over there with the peacekeeping, I keep these peace, I keep that peace. And then, yeah, we've got sanctions galore, which are blowing up in Biden's face. So, yeah. The thing is, as much as the TA, all these valuations, and all the math I can do in the world, never, ever bet against stupid. Until next time, stay frosty, folks.